All right, what is going on, guys? Hope you are well, wherever you are, whatever the damn time. Welcome back to another YouTube video, and it's been a while since I've done a YouTube video actually in the gym. The last like 3 or 4 YouTube videos I've done have basically been full days of eating, so I thought I'd show you one of my leg sessions today and just give you a bit of an update as to how the off season's been going so far. From the last time I updated you, I'd increased my food, and that's been going well. My body weight's gone up about 1 kilo since the last time I gave you an update. So I was averaging about 105.5. At the minute, I'm rounding out at about 106.4 kilos. Throughout this whole season, I am gonna look, for the next few months, look to gain about 1 kilo a month. So I wanna hold the 106s all the way through until the end of this month, and then see 107s through February. I am still in two minds about whether or not I'm gonna do a contest prep this year. So I need to be mindful as to how quickly that body weight goes up. The heaviest I'll get before I go into a contest prep, if I do compete this year, will be 107, because I just don't want to have to take off that much body weight. But we'll see. It just depends on how the year goes, to be honest with you. With regards to training, that's been going really well. There's been an adjustment with my training split. I've had actually now a couple of occasions where I've met with Ali Fraser, who's a great coach. He's part of Full Ball Sports, and he's provided me some input in terms of training and shown me a way in which I can hit legs maybe a little bit more frequently, because ultimately that's, for me, the main goal. I think upper body wise, I'm already there in terms of a pro natural bodybuilder. I think it's just bringing more balance with my lower body. And I think because there's so much, there's just so much room to fill, it's just gonna take more time. And so I've gone from training legs twice across a 7-day period, 3 times across a 9-day period, to basically 3 times across a 7-day period. So it's a lot more frequency. But what you'll maybe notice if you pay attention to my training is the volume is a little bit lower today. It's not the typical amount of volume that I've been running, and my body's kind of been telling me that I needed to make this move for a while, just settle down on the volume a little bit, because I just wasn't progressing the way that I wanted to progress potentially. And I think having lower volume will just allow me to do that in sessions. And when you look at this volume, don't instantly just adopt this style of training, because you've got to bear in mind that I'm doing legs every 2 days. So I physically can't do 20 sets of legs in this session and then come back in again on a Thursday and train legs. It doesn't make any sense. Food has been fine, nutrition's been all good. It's just been pretty much the same. I obviously made that initial bump. It increased my body weight. With regard to training actually as well with my upper body, so I did have a bit of an injury 2 days actually into the new year, where I basically popped some fibers in my pec. I'll put up a video just here just to show you what happened, but I'd kind of twinged it a little bit when I went to Apollo Gym with my client. I went on the Gym Laco chest press, and it's super heavy in the stretch. And I think because it's a novel exercise for me, I haven't done the Gym Laco press in a very long time. I think it just aggravated it a little bit. I went into my upper body session thinking, oh, whatever, it'll feel all right once I get training. Doing my warm-up sets, wasn't really feeling the best. Fuck it, let's just go for the 60s, because I'm a guy and I've got an ego. So as soon as I basically kicked the dumbbells back, I went to explode off my chest, and I just heard like it was like if you were to partially tear paper. That's what that would sound like. And it's the same thing that happened to my lat as well. It was the same sensation, just like that minor tear. I could tell that it wasn't severe because I still managed to eccentrically control the 60s, get it off of me, and I still had function of my arm. I'm basically just taking now the same protocol that I did with my lat, which was rest it, slowly introduce pressing back, very, very slowly with lightweight. But it will probably take about 4 to 6 weeks to heal, which, whatever it is, what it is, it's part of training. Injuries happen. It's one of those things. I think a lot of people look at injuries and it's like, well, that's what you get for lifting heavy weight, and it's part of the game. But when you're pushing your body, sometimes things happen. It doesn't mean I've done something wrong, or it doesn't mean that you shouldn't train anymore, or blah, blah. Just, it's one of those things. So, yeah, I had a little bit of a pec injury, but aside from that, we're all good. So today we've got legs. I'm gonna get on the treadmill for 10 minutes. and then get into the main bulk of the work. So today, we've got abductors, standing calf raise, seated ham curl, leg extension, one set of glute drive. I'm going to do one set of RDL instead of two sets of glute drive. And then I've got a bicep curl, which is just a preacher curl on the Nautilus Nitro. So that's going to be the entirety of the session today. It is literally only, I think it's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 sets of legs for the entirety of the session. As I said, I will be coming back into the gym on Thursday and doing legs again. Anyway, I'm going to warm up and then we'll get into the first exercise of the day. So as I mentioned at the start of the video, I have increased the frequency in which I'm hitting my legs. And I think a big mistake that people make when they make that switch to doing more frequent work, or they notice a weak body part and they try and hit it more often, is they still try and keep the same level of volume as if they were doing one session a week. So they end up doing like 60 sets of legs or 60 sets of back across 7 days. And you might be all right for the first week or two, but eventually you're just going to run into an issue where you're not recovering enough. You're probably going to run into some niggles. So ultimately, you have to find that balance between volume and frequency. And if you have a weak body part, your best bet, honestly, is to try and do that as frequently as possible, rather than just stack on more work in a single session. There is something to be said about being able to attack a session fresh, rather than just having a very, very long session. So that's the reason why I think it makes sense for me. I'm going to give it a go, and like anything in bodybuilding, you try it. If it doesn't work out well and I prefer what I was doing before, then I'll just go back to that. Anyway, just got done on the abductors, done 2 sets on there, just both 6 to 10 reps on that one. Managed to take a progression on the second set, and I'm moving on to the seated hamstring curl. So that's the 2 sets on seated hamstring curl done. We're moving on to the hinge. There was something that I wanted to speak on because it's been spoken about a lot recently, just in my circle and also on social media. It's whether or not you should actually logbook your training. If you'd watched Adam's latest YouTube video, you'll see that they'd spoken about not using a logbook, and I just don't agree. I think there's so much value in using a logbook because you can actually see if your programming is working. I think the issue happens when people don't use the tool properly. So they get emotional when they're not seeing single rep progressions every single session, or they're not increasing the loading every single session, but that's not how hypertrophy works. Obviously, over time, over the span of 4 or 5 months, you should see your numbers increasing on average, right? But just because you don't see trends going upwards every single session that you do doesn't mean that hypertrophy isn't happening. And change your mentality to, let's say you don't get a rep, right? You don't get the rep that you want. Let's say last week you got 7, this week you got 7 again, or you got 6. It just means you're not ready yet. That's all. It just means that you're not ready to make that progression yet. It will happen. If you're nailing your variables outside of the gym, it will happen, but you're just not ready on that day. And that's okay. It doesn't have to ruin your days. It doesn't mean that it was a wasted session. I think there's also this attachment to certain compound lifts. So hinges, pressing, if people don't go up a rep or increase loading on those specific exercises, there's this emotional attachment, but they forget that they've got the whole rest of the session. So there'll be people that think the session is poor because they matched reps or they went down a rep on their hinge, but they progressed every single other pulling movement. And so, whoa, you've progressed 90% of your workout, but you're annoyed because your hinge didn't move one more rep. So it's just the way that you use the tool, and it's just not having that emotional attachment to it, and just maturing, to be honest with you. So we got 1 set on the RDL. When I was speaking to Ali, he did program 2 sets on the glute drive here, but I still want to keep in an RDL on this because I do have an emotional attachment to this exercise. I also want to run it up. I also eventually want to get it to 6 plates. That's a big lifetime goal of mine, so that's why it's staying in. But it's just 1 set, and I think that's good for me mentally, rather than having to psych myself up for 2 sets. So 1 set here, and then 1 set on the glute drive, and then on to our leg extension work. Come on. Very good set on the RDLs. 200 for 8 reps. So that's 1 rep up since the last time I done RDLs. And honestly, it felt pretty easy. I think I had about 1 rep in the tank. I just don't take any 50-50 reps of hinges. I just don't think it's worth it. I think I'll be able to progress it for a longer period of time if I don't take those reps. But a really good set, very happy with it. So in my programming, I'm doing 1 set of these across the week. And then I also have the 45-degree extension, the Booty Builder one, which is actually really nice. And I'm just rotating between those. I've also got a seated hamstring curl, a lying hamstring curl. So I'm ticking all of the boxes when it comes to hamstrings, posterior chain. So we just have to give it time at this point and just get stronger. But already, this is now my second week on this new programming, and I'm seeing progression, which is great. Obviously, I don't want to get too overzealous because you do see those initial adaptations when you start a new program. But I feel like I'm recovering well. In the sessions, I don't feel as taxed with my CV, but I guess that's a good thing, right? So I'm obviously going into sessions a lot fresher to be able to actually progress. So feel good. And also what I'm happy about is that my pec injury isn't causing any issues with my leg training, because that would be very, very annoying. So I'm just about to move on to my calf work. I just rotate between standing and seated. Standing is going to hit a little bit more gastroc, which is the more superficial part of your calf. So the majority of your calf work could be on here, but that's not to say that you should ignore the soleus and you should ignore seated calf work, because I think with regard to ankle health, Achilles tendon health, and also knee health, you should do calf raises with a bent knee and with a straight leg. Just because the gastroc is the one that you see the most on the bodybuilding stage, it doesn't mean that you should ignore the soleus, because I think, in my opinion, that's going to mean you're going to have some weaker knees, weaker ankles, higher risk for injury. So everything should be bulletproof. Whilst I'm on the subject as well of program changes, none of this matters. Your split doesn't matter if you just piss around outside of the gym. If you're missing meals, you're not sleeping properly, you're not on point with your hydration, all of this doesn't matter, because you can't fight terrible management of stress and those other variables outside of the gym. It just doesn't matter, because if that's all over the place, don't even worry about your split. Focus on honing that in first, and then worry about your training split. And it was leg extensions to finish the leg work of today. It was 2 sets. I am favouring the top peg on this leg extension for both of the sets. I'm trying to keep a good chunk of the weight off of my leg in that shortened position, just because I just think it just destroys the knees a little bit. So I put 2 plates on the middle peg and then 5 on the top peg for my first set, and then I put all of the weight, which is 145 kilos, on the second set of the top peg, and it feels great, really, really good. And a slight change in approach as to how I'm doing them, so I am trying to just slowly accelerate through the extension, because I find, again, with me just exploding out of the bottom, not that there's anything inherently wrong with that, but I found that with myself, eventually, as loading gets heavier, me doing that is just going to result in the knees just not being happy. So again, just taking my time with progressions, accelerating slowly through that concentric, and it works really well. I'm not talking about going slow motion in the concentric, but just slowly accelerating, not just kicking for the sake of kicking. We've got 2 sets of bicep curls on this Nautilus Nitro, and then that is the workout of the day finished. I'm going to head back for the post-workout meal. I've also got to pick up B from her work, so I'll catch up with you once I'm back home. We're back from the gym, and we've got a delivery from Full Ball Sports, so I thought, why not unbox it? I also need what's in here for my final meal, because I've been out of protein for a while, and I don't really enjoy using chicken and just more chicken and more mince, because the meal just gets redundant. So I miss my protein. So let's see what we got. Firstly, I haven't actually had Perform Whey in a very long time. Lemon cheesecake flavour. Lovely. I'm usually not the biggest fan of Perform, because sometimes it's a bit inconsistent in terms of the quality, but we're going to give it a go. Samples, HR Labs, Carb Up. Don't know what this is. There's no label. There's no label, Rob. I can't take it if I don't know what it is. EAAs, supplement needs, EAAs. We've got a multivitamin just here, supplement needs, and then I've got, which I'm most excited about, is the intra-carb powder from supplement needs. We're going to run with it. I want to try a run of having carbohydrates intra-workout to see if it makes a big difference to my performance. So I thought, why not go with supplement needs? Anyway, I'm going to make my post-workout meal and then close out this video. So there's the final meal. Well, not the final meal, the post-workout meal, should I say, which is cream of rice, 125 grams. We've got 45 grams of whey. You know the meal, the seeds, the linwood seeds, 10 grams of those, 20 grams of dark chocolate, 85%, 100 grams of blueberries. But yeah, really good session. And tomorrow's a rest day for me. And then I've got legs again. So there's no upper body session between this leg day and the next day. I just rest tomorrow and I go again. And I'm excited to see how this setup goes. It's very frequent in terms of leg training, but I think it's going to produce some very, very good results. I just have to keep the ego in check and realize, although it doesn't feel like a lot of volume in the session, there's a good chunk across the week and I'm hitting legs every other day. So I got to keep that in mind. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, leave it a like, and if you're not already, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you for the next one.